students, today a new video for the biology class 8 chapter number 1 transport of food and minerals in plants. Let's begin with absorption of water by plants. Root is typically non-green underground part of the plant. It is extensively branched. Root is well suited to its function of absorption of water from the soil. There are different kinds of membrane which are found in the plant body. Number 1, that's the permeable membrane. A membrane that allows both solute and solvent molecule to pass through them. That is called permeable membrane. Solute as well as solvent molecules can pass through it. For example, cell wall, muslin cloth, etc. Second, that is the semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane allows water molecules to pass but resist solute molecules. For example, parchment paper, cellophane paper, animal bladder, egg membrane, etc. Egg membrane, that's also a very good example of the semi-permeable membrane because it allows the molecule full of water only to pass through it. Next is selectively permeable membrane. The membrane which allows the useful substances to pass in and harmful substances to diffuse out of the cell. That is called cell membrane. That's example. Selectively permeable membrane which allows the useful substances to pass through it. The biological membrane which are not perfectly semi-permeable, they also allow passing solute molecules only up to a certain extent and are selective in nature. They are known as selectively or differentially permeable membrane. For example, cell membrane. Next is impermeable membrane. Do not allow diffusion of both solute and solvent molecule through them. For example, rubber sheath. It does not allow anything to pass through it. Next, the topic is root pressure. The pressure developed in the root which helps in pushing the sap upward. Root hair zone is the region of water absorption. The inside of the root has higher concentration than soil solution. Root hairs are in contact with the soil interspaces having capillary water. The root hairs pick up the water that is transferred inward due to the still higher osmotic concentration. Since the root hair cells have vacuole which contain a high concentrated solution of the cell sap in it. It reaches the cells surrounding the xylem channel. Salt accumulates in the basal part of the xylem channel, causes osmotic entry of water and creates positive pressure known as the root pressure. Single fully grown root hair that shows with a very thin wall could be drawn like this. Epidermal cell, cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, vacuole and the nucleus. Root hair beginning to grow and the fully grown root hair. What is active transport? Whenever the substances like iron, salt and minerals move from the region of their lower concentration to the region of their higher concentration is called active transport. Conduction or transportation in plants. Conduction of sap. The water absorbed by the plant is also called the sap because it is actually a dilute solution of minerals. The upward movement of the water or the sap from the roots towards the top of the plant is called conduction or ascent of sap. It occurs through the tracheids and vessels of the xylem tissue. There are many forces which can be suggested for the rise of cell sap. Number first is the capillary force, second is the root pressure, and third is the transpiration pull. There are a structure of the vascular bundle, xylem, that's of wood, and the tissue which is responsible to conduct water and minerals from the roots to the tip of the plant. Transport of water and minerals from the roots to the aerial parts of the plant could be done with the help of xylem tissue. It is of four types. It's composed of four types of cells: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. It is a vascular and mechanical tissue. Xylem cells are thick-walled. Xylem consists of four types of cells. They are also called xylem elements. Single cells, elongated, angular dead cells, wall thick due to the deposition of the lignin, are called tracheids. Vessels or tracheae, much elongated multicellular tubes. Xylem or wood parenchyma, they are living parenchymatous cells with thin cellulose wall. Xylem sclerenchyma or wood fibers, they are long, narrow cells tapering at both the ends. These are dead cells with lignified walls. So we can say xylem sclerenchyma or wood fibers are the lignified walls they are having, as well as they are made up of dead cells. Except xylem parenchyma, all other xylem elements are dead. Vessels are the most important cells of the four types of xylem elements. The transverse walls between the vessel elements are partially or fully dissolved to form continuous channel or water pipes. Transportation of water and minerals in plant. There are many forces which can be suggested for the rise of the cell sap. Xylem tissues function as the fine capillary tubes through which water rises up by capillary action. Root pressure, the pressure developed in the root due to continuous inflow of water into it and responsible for pushing the sap upward. It is not universal and observed in some of the plants only. Transpiration pull, loss of water from the leaves developed a force which pulls the water from the root to the top of the plant. The pull of setup is called transpiration pull. Absorption of water and nutrients. Water is used by the plant as producing food by the process of photosynthesis. Plants absorb minerals and gases dissolved in water. Water helps in the transportation of the substances from the region to another in the plant. It provides turgidity to the plant cell, which is essential for the maintenance or support from the growth of the plant. Now the process osmosis. It is a special form of the diffusion which involves only the movement of water molecules from the region of the higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. A root hair with its semi-permeable membrane acts as an osmotic system through which the movement of the water molecules takes place. Diffusion, it is the movement of the molecules of gases, liquids or solids from the region of the higher concentration to that of the lower concentration. It is a physical process. Active transport, whenever the substances like iron, salt and minerals move from the region of their lower concentration to the region of their higher concentration, they are using energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, from the cell. This process is called active transport. Root hair absorb minerals from the soil by the process of active transport. Root hairs absorb water from the soil by osmosis. Water then diffuses into the deeper parts of the roots by the cell to the cell osmosis. It passes through the root tissues to the xylem in the roots, which carry it to all parts of the plant, stem and leaves also. Translocation of the food material. Phloem is a living conductive or vascular tissue. It contains tubes like xylem, but it performs no mechanical function. Phloem consists of 4 elements or the cells. Next is transpiration process. Plants continuously absorb water through their roots, which is sent up through the stem to all parts of the plant, including the leaves. Only a little amount of the water is retained in the plant, utilized in the photosynthesis. The rest of it gets evaporated into the atmosphere as water vapor through the stomata present in the epidermis of leaves. This creates a suction pressure which pulls up the water from the xylem of the roots to the stem and then to the leaves. Water molecules are pulled up due to their tendency of remaining joined. That's called cohesion also. The figure given in the book that shows a suction through the leaf blade to show the movement of the water through a leaf. The xylem vessel shown in the figure sends the water into the cells, and a cell movement of the water takes place till it reaches substomatal air space, where they get evaporated due to the heat of the sun and moves out of stomata in the form of vapor. This entire process is called transpiration. We can also define transpiration as the removal of the excess amount of the water from the plant body in the form of water vapor is called transpiration. Hence, transpiration can be defined as the loss of water in the form of vapors from the aerial exposed part of the plant. Thousands of leaf cells are evaporating water like this and drawing water to replace from the xylem vessels in the veins. As a result, water is pulled through the xylem vessels and up the stem from the roots. This transpiration pull is strong enough to draw up water 50 meters or more in trees. The water travels up the vessels in the vascular bundles, and this flow of water is called the transpiration stream. Transpiration is similar to evaporation in that water forms the wet types of transpiration: stomatal transpiration, cuticular transpiration. Stomatal transpiration that occurs through the stomata present on the epidermis of leaves and green stems. These are responsible for about 50 to 97% of the total water transpired. Cuticular transpiration. Cuticle is a wax-like layer of the cutin that covers the epidermis of the leaves or stem. It reduces the water loss but may give out water vapor through the cracks. It constitutes 3 to 10% of the total transpiration. Xylem, it is a vascular and mechanical tissue. Xylem cells are thick walled. They are found in the form of the tubular passage. Xylem consists of the four types of cells. Potometer, it is an apparatus which is used to measure the rate of water loss from the shoot under the natural or artificial condition. Now the next is lenticular transpiration. Lenticels are aerated type of pores which are present in the bark of woody stems, twigs and fruits. Water vapors are lost through these openings. The amount of water vapors lost through lenticels is usually insignificant, approximately 0.1% of the total water loss. Next is the bark transpiration. This occurs through the bark of woody stem. It contributes about 1% of the total transpiration. A humid air contains a great deal of the water vapors. It can accept very little of water vapors from the plants and so transpiration slows down. In dry air, the diffusion of the water vapors from the leaf of the atmosphere will be rapid. Significance of transpiration. We can say number 4, that is the cooling effect. A leaf exposed directly sunlight will absorb heat and its temperature may rise to a level which could kill the cytoplasm. Water evaporating from the leaf absorbs its latent heat and thus cools the leaf. Secondly, we can say conduction of the minerals. Transpiration helps in carrying the minerals absorbed by the roots to all the parts of the plant along with the water column. Next significance is ascent of sap. It sets up a transpiration pull which helps in the upward movement of the water from roots to top of the plant. Transpiration has some disadvantages also. A lot of energy is wasted in absorbing and lifting off extra water which is lost through transpiration. It supplies water needed for the photosynthesis, transports minerals along with the water from the soil to various parts of the plant. Cools leaf surfaces. Sometimes it can lower plant body temperature up to 10 to 15 degrees. When the air is still, the region round the transpiring leaf will become saturated with the water vapors so that no more water vapor can escape from the leaf. Also help in maintaining the shape and the structure of the plant by keeping their cells turgid condition. A potometer is a useful apparatus for measuring relative rates of transpiration in the laboratory. The rate of the movement of the bubble is proportional to the rate of transpiration. Factors affecting transpiration: external factors like light, relative humidity, temperature, air movement, etc. Light. Blue light induce maximum opening of stomata. In the absence of the light, stomata remain closed. Light also affects the rate of transpiration by increasing temperature. Blue and red light are effective for transpiration, constituting its action spectrum. Relative humidity. In humid atmosphere where relative humidity is high, the rate of transpiration decreases. In dry atmosphere, the relative humidity is low, so rate of transpiration increases. Temperature. Higher the temperature, more is the rate of transpiration, as it results in the higher vapor pressure gradient. Lowering the temperature decreases the rate of transpiration. Humidity. A humid air contains a great deal of the water vapors. Increase in the temperatures increases the capacity of the air for the more water vapors, and thus the rate of transpiration increases. Whereas with the decrease in temperature, the rate of transpiration slows down. Wind. If wind is not blowing, water vapors accumulate above the transpiring leaves. They just accumulate, which decreases the rate of transpiration. Available soil water. If available water in the soil is not sufficient, the rate of transpiration is decreased. High concentration of the salts in soil water also reduces rate of transpiration due to less water absorption. Sunlight. In a daylight, the stomata of the leaves are open. This allows the water vapor, the leaves, to diffuse out into the atmosphere. At night, when the stomata close, transpiration is greatly reduced. We can do an experiment also. Take a small potted plant, cover it with a transparent polythene bag in such a way that its mouth is tied up around the base of the stem. Keep this set up under the sun for a few hours. You will see small droplets of water on the inner side of the bag. Water lost in the form of water vapors from the aerial parts of the plant has condensed and collected on the inner side of the bag. Plant factors: root, structure of leaf, number and distribution of stomatas. Root shoot ratio. Root absorbs water, hence a low root shoot ratio decreases the rate of transpiration, or vice versa. Short plants have a high root shoot ratio because root absorbs water, and if the plant they are having so short height, their ratio, that's root shoot ratio, will be high. Structure of leaf. Many features like the